All right, let's talk about One Battle After Another. It is the latest Paul Thomas Anderson movie. Paul Thomas Anderson, best known for movies such as There Will Be Blood, Boogie Nights, Punch Drunk Love. And to be honest, I've never been a huge Paul Thomas Anderson guy. I know that that's sacrilege to say in certain parts of the internet. I think that he is a brilliant filmmaker, but for whatever reason, his movies just don't always seem to connect with me. There are some I like. I really like Punch Drunk Love. I really like Magnolia. But there's a lot of his movies I do kind of often feel like I'm left wanting a bit more. Like, for example, The Master is a movie that I watch and I'm like, this is brilliant performances, brilliant acting. I just said that. Brilliant performances, brilliant acting, an incredible look, an incredible pace to it. But I still just feel like I need something more. I want more of a plot, I think, has been my biggest critique with some of his movies, which can feel a bit aimless, which sometimes I really like in a Sean Baker movie, but for whatever reason, in these movies, I'm left, often feeling like I want something more. If you asked me yesterday, have you ever loved a Paul Thomas Anderson movie, I would have answered no. If you ask me today, that answer is different. I loved this movie. I thought that this was fantastic. And I think that there is a lot of one thought I had was it feels very much like a Cormac McCarthy novel. And then I started thinking, well, wait a second. Famously, Paul Thomas Anderson's There Will Be Blood lost to Cormac McCarthy adaptation, No Country for Old Men. And I kind of feel like it's almost like PTA saying, fine, I'll make my own No Country for Old Men. Although obviously there are plenty of differences as well, but I can get that kind of vibe from it. I've gotten a bit ahead of myself. What is the plot for this movie? Well, I don't want to get too far into explaining what this movie is because I think it doesn't want you to know exactly what it is. You see the trailers, they don't really tell you what exactly is going on. So I think I will, stick with that, but I can give some base details. Essentially, you have Leonardo DiCaprio and his, we'll just say significant other, Tiana Taylor. I don't know if they were married or maybe I missed it, but they're a couple in the movie, and they're also revolutionaries, part of the French 75, a group of people who like to blow things up is maybe a way you could describe them. It doesn't seem like they go out of their way to hurt people, but they also will hurt people if that's what needs to be done. And while this movie definitely does have some, I think political messaging in this, it's certainly about politics in many ways. This is a political organization who's going after, detention centers. You do see Mexican kids in cages in this film. It's kind of always in the background of the story, though. Kind of similar to how The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly has this story, but then there's also the Civil War going on in the background, but it kind of just lets that sit in the background and makes the point that way, which I think is very similar to how this film approached itself. I should also mention this is based on a book I have not read. I think I heard somewhere that there's a lot of differences, so part of me wanted to read the book before this movie came out. I just didn't have the time. And again, I wasn't necessarily expecting to love this movie as much as I did. If I knew I was going to enjoy this so much, maybe I would have wanted to read the book beforehand. But yeah, I mean, this film had been getting crazy good reviews prior to this movie, and that's what kind of got me thinking, okay, maybe this could be one that I could really connect with, because I mean, it's currently sitting at a 4.5 on Letterboxd. It's the favorite to win Best Picture right now, and it hasn't even come out yet. But again, given my kind of history with PTA, I wasn't sure if I was gonna fully connect with it. A lot of people, I do my tier list on this channel where I do a director's tier list, and Paul Thomas Anderson has been by far the one that's been requested the most that I haven't done yet. But I don't feel like I should do it because I'm not crazy about all of his movies, and I feel like that wouldn't maybe necessarily be the best tier list, someone who isn't really a PTA guy. So again, heading into this, I wasn't like, here we go, time for a masterpiece. And maybe that's part of why I enjoyed it so much, is because sometimes that's the best expectation to have. It's always good to go in with no expectations, because you never know what to expect. So I guess I'm screwing that up by telling you this movie's awesome, but this movie is awesome. I kind of briefly touched on the plot and kind of how, there is plots in his other movies, but they're very unconventional and oftentimes very subtle. You have to pay attention to what's going on to see how the story moves. And this has a very, I don't want to say generic plot, but a very clear plot. You know what's going on, and really it's essentially a thriller throughout this movie. It goes. This is a fast-paced film throughout, which, again, for someone who is kind of known for letting things breathe, was really fascinating. In fact, just in general, this is Paul Thomas Anderson, I think in many ways challenging himself. Maybe he wasn't thrilled with the reception to Licorice Pizza and kind of wanted to see if he could level up in certain areas. The way this is filmed, a lot of handheld and a lot of shots that maybe are a little bit dirtier than his typical very I would say glamorous shots in a lot of the movies. Like, I think about The Master, that shot where, you're looking down at the water with Joaquin Phoenix on the bottom of the frame, right? This has shallow focus and extreme close-ups on people's faces in moments, and it's a difficult movie to capture. But, of course, it's Paul Thomas Anderson, and even if his movies haven't always worked for me, there's no denying he's one of the most talented people alive, regardless of what kind of art form they are working in. The pure talent on display is truly fantastic. And of course, one thing Paul Thomas Anderson always does is gets great performances. DiCaprio is DiCaprio. Benicio del Toro, I actually really loved in this movie. I feel like he's just always such an underrated actor. He's so good in these roles. He was great. Sean Penn is doing a lot. And again, if we're going with the No Country for Old Men theme, which again, I should be clear, very different movies, just kind of a similar type of vibe in some ways, both with where they take place, being near the Mexican-U.S. border, both essentially being violent westerns. I would consider this a western. That feels like accurate. And if there needs to be a Anton Chigurh for this movie, it is played by Sean Penn, who plays Colonel Stephen J. Lockjaw. And again, with a bad performance, this could be really silly, right? Like, I think about Nick Cage in, well, basically everything. But really what I mean is in Longlegs, you see how that movie kind of took a turn once you had this over-the-top performance. Well, you have another over-the-top performance with Sean Penn, and to me, it doesn't take away from the movie. There are humorous moments, but the film knows when to go with those humorous moments and when not to. And I didn't hate Longlegs, but or Nick Cage in it. Just that that made the movie a different vibe, and Sean Penn is able to be like a crazy person without making the movie a different vibe, which I think also really worked. But all the performances are fantastic. I already mentioned Tiana Taylor. She's great in this movie. Regina Hall is really good in this movie. So a lot of good, really good performances. And of course, even with PTA, even like the small one-off performances still work really well. So yeah, incredible everything, really. And heading back to just the filmmaking for a second, one thing that really kind of blew me away when watching this movie was the cars, the car chase sequences. I would say that this has one of the most realistic car chase sequences I've ever seen, but it doesn't. It has multiple of, I guess, at least the coolest looking car chase sequences I've ever seen. One earlier on in the movie where you see a car kind of bumping into other cars, and I'm watching this, I'm like, I don't know how they filmed this. This looks to me like they just had a car like actually do this on the streets and filmed it. Like, that's what it looks. It has a very like Safdie Brothers vibe in certain areas with the realism, which again isn't something you always see from PTA. Now, you do see a lot of long takes in this movie, similar to how you'll see with PTA, but again, sometimes they're just a little bit dirtier, a little bit less glamorous, and I think that really worked for this movie. Should you see one battle after another? Well, depends on who you are, right? I mean, this is, if you're not someone who likes these kind of, violent thriller type movies, definitely probably not your thing. If you are someone who likes that, this definitely will be your thing. Yes, this does get political, but this is not like a Don't Look Up or something where it is so political that like you can't even pay attention to it without thinking about the politics, even though the politics of the movie are definitely woven in to this film. Not to say that the movie fully endorses everything that the radical group that you see in this movie does. It definitely does not endorse another group. There is the there's a group of racists, I guess we'll just say that, in this movie. It definitely does not mince words with that. And in fact, sometimes you have these moments where something very funny is happening and then something not so funny happens, and it kind of wakes you up. So it keeps you on its toes, but it balances the tone, in my opinion, brilliantly in this movie. This is the movie that I think probably will win Best Picture when it is all said and done. We'll see. Still a few months left. Could be a late front runner, but as of right now, this feels like it's gonna happen, and I would not be mad at it, even as much as I loved Sinners earlier this year. I am giving one battle after another. Let's give it a 10 out of 10. Why not? Let's have some fun. Really, really good watch. Bit of a long one, but like I said, moves very quickly. You never feel bored. I don't know when you go to the bathroom because there's something that's happening throughout this whole movie. So, yeah, definitely check it out if it feels like it is your kind of thing. If you have seen it, let me know what you thought in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.